Hello. I have four things I want to talk about, and I'll try to make it as quick as I can. First thing is, what is everyone's self-improvement plan, right? Because that's, I don't see enough people having that. Like, what if you show up to scrims every week, right? And you don't do anything in between scrims. You're gonna play the same, right? Like maybe you hit 2% more shots. Maybe you have like 2% better ult. Like if you're not doing anything, you're not gonna improve faster, right? And I'm assuming everyone wants to get better at the game, right? And I say self-improvement plan because it's not just the coach's job to tell you something, you think about it once, and then that's it, right? That's not how getting better at the game works, right? It's like 50-50, right? If you're getting VODs, right, team VODs, then you need to be implementing that team VOD and working on it, thinking about it every fight, right, to get it better. But what I'm gonna talk about is self-VODing. Highly underrated, right? Hop into, go to, I don't think I have any games because the codes reset. Yeah, I don't have any games. But just after your scrim, just watch your game back. If you felt you didn't do good, watch it back and just, it might be cringy, it might be funny, but you'll notice things that you just wouldn't have done twice, right? So there's no point in getting that one-on-one VODed, right? I've been saying it I'm trying to say it more. Whenever you get a VOD with anyone, right, team VOD, one-on-one, you should just watch your own game back because there might be stuff that you see like, oh, I can fix that now, right? I can do that better next game, right? Without anyone else, just watching your own game back, and then looking out for one-on-one team VODs and stuff. Secondly is, what notes do you have to work on? Like I use Discord chats, like a private Discord, where I have notes that I look at and like, okay, this is what I'm gonna work on for next game. Or I have sticky notes on my desk, whatever I'm in the mood for. But everyone needs to have notes on what they're working on, to actively think about stuff, to fix your mistakes, right? Or else you're just gonna keep making them, right? And just getting into that process of like actively thinking about decisions is really important. You might play worse at the start if you don't do that already, but it'll lead to just being a better player overall. That's my first thing. Second thing is some team stuff. So I'm gonna pull up what I have, but the first thing is gonna be what I talked about last VOD about breaking kill boxes. I have two rounds of two different maps to go over it. I can pull it up from other maps, but I think these are the easiest to visualize. So we're going to go over the thing I brought up. You're the blue team walking through some space that the enemy team sets up for, right? It doesn't have to be 3 angles, just, you're walking into enemy space. They're set up for it. We can make a rotation to make it easier, right? We can use ults to just power through it. Or we can set up angles on there where they are already. Or we can apply pressure to one of their angles to force them out, either with a rotation or without, have someone go right, apply pressure, then you walk out, it's safer. Right. I'm gonna pull up a few examples where we sometimes use Qs, right? But I don't think that's as intentional. And we certainly don't do any of the other options, right? Yeah. Another way to phrase it is like how to set up a passive advantage where you just like doing this would just, I'm using it under reference to breaking kill boxes, but you can do this is how you should be playing normally, right? So we just lost this fight. We're setting back up. Let me make it full screen and make sure it's audio. It doesn't really matter. It's just a recording. But we reset. The enemy team has point, and we're gonna push through. Right? Like we're just stacked like sardines. Like, what could we have done instead? We send. Can you see my mouse? Yeah. We send our Sojourn, maybe even our Kiriko, this other way. Now, if the enemy team, let's rewind it. Now, the enemy team that's set up right now, well, our Winston would walk forward with our Reaper, and our Sojourn and Kiriko would apply pressure to this monkey. We'd force his bubble instantly. We'd force this Sojourn to slide away. You could pop Sojourn E, put Sojourn E on the stairs so they can't kite back, apply pressure here. We'll force them to jump away. We'll force them to slide away. Then now, all of a sudden, this Sojourn becomes a dive target. We don't have to, we can just dive, right? We force cooldowns, we dive and kill her. Right, this monkey jumped. We can dive, chase this monkey, and kill him, if we wanted, right? Or at least we force them back. Now we can safely walk through this space. This enemy team isn't also setting up for the choke properly, but we shouldn't just walk through it, right? Like our monkey jumps back, they can just speed in and kill us, right? They don't, right? But that initial exchange is what we're just stacked like sardines. right? Secondly, same exact scenario, just later in the round.
This ends now.
Right? Again, it's I think we had a ringer for Sojourn too, but again, I'm saying this just for, you know, our Kiriko, that we can go right and apply pressure as well. So it's kind of a Q fest, but again, whoever's our actual Sojourn player, I think it's Destiny. I want us to like actively think about this too.
This ends now.
Right. Yeah. And Italy. And then again, I don't want it to sound like it's just them two. Everyone else wants to think about this as well. Right. So that we can get our timing right. And such. Okay. Now we go to another example. Are these the same? Oh, this is later. Yeah, here we kind of just rush with Kiriko, so it's the only time we do one of the 3.5 options that are actually good. Yeah. So, that worked and that's good. We're just being aware of that. Now we kind of trolled twice here. We rotate left side, but that doesn't really. We get to point, yeah, but we need to use cooldowns to cross. Like we're crossing into, space that we don't hold, right? This is not free. Right, so if we're making a rotation, we have to use our cooldowns to complete the rotation. Think of like Hanamura attack first point. You can't just walk through the choke into the room on the right and not die or not get shot at or not do any cooldowns, not shield, do anything. We have to use cooldowns. Amp, bubble, maybe we TP across, right? Don't invest that much, but we need something to get across, and we just lose Reaper for free, right? So again, this time it's not just soldier and split. It's like, if we're gonna rotate, we have to do it properly. Secondly, why don't we just send our soldier right side? Right? We send our soldier in right. And if you want another example of this, look at Overwatch League when Shock plays this map in the finals, right? Same thing happens there. But here we send our soldier up here, and now they have a good crossfire. Now we just pop soldier. Now if they fight us here, and we walk towards them. Right, now if they fight, look at this monkey, so they're like in open space. We pop soldier note, they have to run and we can push off that. Right? So yeah, if we're gonna rotate, we need to do it properly, never die through it. Use cooldowns, because I don't see any cooldowns being used here. No bubble, no speed, no nothing. Right? Or if we're just gonna set up our own angles, we can send soldier in right with Kiriko. As monkey walks forward, and then if they fight, and then we can just fight in this courtyard area. We do the same thing again here. We just kind of walk out.
This ends now.
Yeah, we're focused on this rotation, but now look at this. Now if we go back over here, we can bop Kiriko. We can bop Kiriko and Reaper and just walk forward. So we don't need to make the rotation. We could have just ulted, or same thing. We send our soldier in right side and we pop soldier and ult, and then we push. And maybe once we get a little closer, then we Kiriko Reaper ult. Or even then they can save soldier and pop Kiriko Reaper and we just win, right? But we don't need to rotate here. Yeah, and then that ends up getting our beat forced out for free. We pop in with beat and get a kill. That's good, but I'm really looking at the start of the fight, because everything after the fight doesn't really matter if we start the fight so poorly, right? That's why I'm really nailing this on. Next thing is staging, right? How we set up. I only have one example because codes reset. I didn't get to record that much. But this is something I've seen. I'm bringing these two up because I see them on every map. I'm just bringing easy examples to get my point across. When we have point control, we need to actively talk about where and how we're setting up to hold space, right? Even if we're not going to hold it forever, we need to still get a hit in, right? Going back to what I said in the other VOD, push and pull. We're going to, when they walk through this space, we are going to push and hit them. If it doesn't work, we fall back. Right? Or if the enemy team pushes back too hard with ultimates or whatever, or good angles, then we kite back. But we're not pushing either as multiple players or as well as we could have, right? In that initial holding of space. And then if we do it properly, we might just get kills and might just win the fight instantly. So if we look at this fight, right? Let's rewind it a little bit. We have point, right? So like, our monkey's applying pressure here. Our Lucio isn't with them. Our Reaper's on high ground for some reason. Soldrin's over here a little too far for Soldrin. Maybe Soldrin be on the right side so that way we can chase a lot better and still, but we have ult, so it's not that bad. Our Kiriko's here, which is fine. But maybe our Kiriko can be again applying pressure on this right side, right, to shoot things that aren't just Winston and still heal. Yeah. Right, so again, this is fine Italy, but like we're still in the same situation that we'd be behind Monkey. We can't shoot anything other than Monkey. So again, being on the right, our Reaper's on high ground for some reason. Our bubble got forced and there's no Reaper there shooting, right? And I think our Lucio is just too far away to boop, right? Unless we're playing for beat, like we're not booping Winston, we're not booping Reaper away from Winston, so we're just not set up. It just looks like we're not set up to do what we want to do, right? And this happens a lot on a lot of maps, especially Colosseo. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't have that map recorded, but whenever it's on our side of the map, we set up fine. Right, but whenever we push up, we always have like the wrong person on cart or 3 people on bot, and then we're trying to hold space with our monkey, and then he gets forced out, and then we're all stuck on the cart. And, like we have to think about how we're going to set up, right, for when they come in. Right, are we going to leave our Kiriko on cart and then she TPs in and we fight as soon as they walk through a spot? Are we going to let them walk in a little more? And then like that's not being said, and it's certainly not being done, right, to the degree that it needs to be. I'll have some other examples, right? Some other just individual mistakes that I'm able to show from top down. You know, I like I mentioned in over here with our like Lucio Reaper, but here, right, we cannot jump in, right? We killed Sky. Like I think every time we actually noticed it, we killed them for doing that. So why aren't we just walking forward with speed? And we jump in and explode. Right? They just look at you and you die, right? They're also not taking, they're just kind of stacked, which is a problem too. And then the opposite problem, again, same thing, we're not, I should have put it in the other box. We're not setting up, like our Reaper's on high ground, our Winston's so far away, right? Like where are we going to fight them? We know they're here. Their monkey jumps. We forget about him. Their monkey jumps again. He hasn't taken any damage, right? So like we're so disconnected in what we want to do. We have our Winston in their backline. We have people shooting other people. There's a Winston in our backline that jumped the entire time. Our Lucio's not with either people, right? Like, just some stuff we need to, you know, we're setting up. How are we going to set up once we see certain things? We need to communicate. And then, because I mentioned it, I do want to bring it up. I was going to show an example on Oasis City Center, but I don't have that map. So I was going to show you guys still have the same problems as people, you know, or I guess the other way around. People that are higher level still have the same problem of not setting up a passive advantage and pushing in. Right, they just kind of int in as 5 players, which is not good. That brings up the team stuff, my second and third point, and now my fourth point I want to bring up and people to get out of this is ult tracking. I only see the name as Lucio Z. I forget what your name is in Discord. I'm sorry, in your name. So getting a little slow on that, but they do a good job at ult tracking. Like you know, a really good job at ult tracking, and we do nothing with that information. We do nothing with that information, right? Like what? Why are we ult tracking then? Right? Like we need to do something with it. So and bring it back to Colosseo, we ult track that they have Reaper ult. Even before that, what does it mean when we track ults, right? It's so we can. The whole point of tracking ult is so we don't do the same thing every single fight, right? Just looking at that Li Yong example, we did the same thing twice, right? We ult track so we can make different decisions. We have ults so we can make different decisions, right? If we stack and walk down main and they have Grav Dragon, we just die, right? The simplest example. So knowing that they have this plus this and we don't have a defensive ult, then we should do something else, right? So that's a team thing, and that needs to come down into the fight planning. I think I'm not really sure who does that every single time, since we're swapping main tanks. But that's again something we need to think about, right? Do something with that information as a team. And secondly, everybody should in ranked, everyone should be ult tracking and making decisions on yourself. But in scrims, someone ult tracks for you, so you need to do something with that information, right? Just going down the list, if we know they have Reaper ult and we're Kiriko, well, we should be looking for the Reaper, right? So we don't die to it, and so that we can immort and save our teammates, right? So we should never die to Reaper ult. If our Lucio just said they have Reaper ult 10 seconds ago, right? Same thing, our Reaper should, you know, save Wraith so he doesn't feed to Reaper ult, right? Or at least be aware of where he is, right? That goes for everyone, right? Soldier needs to be aware of that. If they caught off guard, they're going to slide. Especially Lucio and Soldier are the two people that the Reaper wants to kill, and they're the easiest to kill with Blossom, so they need to be most aware. But if we ult track, they have that, and we play normally, we're just putting ourselves at a massive disadvantage, right? And that's just one ultimate. Right? If we know they have Reaper and we know they have Soldier and ult, Kiriko, they're probably going to use him together, just like Grab Dragon. So what are we going to do about it, right? And if that, again, that's more of a fight planning thing for everyone, right? And if we don't make a fight plan off that, then I can talk about that as a whole separate issue with everyone here. But individually is what I wanted to get. Individually, if we know they have this, what am I doing about it? What are you doing about it as an individual? If we track that they have Soldier and ult and our monkey has Primal, then maybe he should not just intin and stay longer with Primal. He should probably Primal and kill the Soldier when she ults, right? That's another very simple example. But just again, being aware, I'm taking in the ult tracking information because really valuable work. So those I want to bring about, I'm going to bring it full circle as a summary. I want everyone to have something that they're going to work on for self-improvement. I don't care what your improvement plan is, but you need to do something so that when you show up to scrim, you're playing better or you're playing differently. Or even if you play worse, I don't care. You troll every single game, but you're working on something. You need to work on something when you play. You cannot just play and have your brain off because then you're never going to improve. Right? You're going to be hard stuck, whatever, for your entire Overwatch career, right? So it goes outside of scrims. Right, so if we're going into a scrim, what did we talk about in last team VOD? I'm going to do that. Or if you had one-on-ones with someone, it doesn't have to be me, other people, right? What are you working on? Okay, those are my notes. Okay, I'm good. And again, just watch your own gameplay back. Team stuff. We talked about passive advantages and breaking our kill box, right? If we have off angles with our Soldier, like, two groups, our Soldier and our Kiriko applying pressure or separate. Maybe our Soldier on high ground and we're holding here and then our Kiriko comes from the light. Like, we're not really doing that effort, right? And it applies so much pressure to the enemy team. Every team we gone against that plays meta, they just stack like sardines, right? So they're not doing it either, right? You can be just winning such a positive cooldown advantage off that. Staging. We need, once we have point, how are we setting up? Where are we setting up? Are we talking about it, right? I don't want to see our Reaper on high ground, right? No, where is it? It was, here, right? I don't want to see our Reaper on high ground if our monkey's fighting at this choke. Right? I don't want to see that, right? And if our Reaper is holding high ground up here, well, and they're fighting, then maybe they should just drop, right? Because their monkey's not in, and then they're gonna get their Wraith first, and then when our monkey does go in, our Reaper's not there, right? So again, just talking about it, talking to each other, and then ult tracking. We ult track, but what do we do with it? Not much. Not much. I've seen maps where we ult track and then don't fight plan and then don't do anything. I'd rather us fight plan and that's it, then ult track and do all this other garbage, right? So I want whoever's IGL, we're swapping tanks, that's whatever. But we need to make a fight plan that if the ults impact that, we need to talk about it. And if not, and if nothing's being said, which there is nothing now, everyone needs to take that in for themselves, right? If they have flux, wow, well maybe we shouldn't all follow our Sigma and stack, right? Very simple things like that you can make an impact about. They have this ult. Okay, well, I need to save this cooldown for that. Okay, great, right? But we're not doing that, right? And we're dying to things that we shouldn't die to, right? And that's a lot of bad, but we've done a better job as the scrim progressed. This is the good part. We've done a better job at recognizing enemy teams fucking up cooldowns and engaging on it. Great example of that is King's Row, right? That we all can easily remember. And then the other thing is kiting ult, and I'm using King's Row as an example for both, right? We did such a good job at recognizing that they fucked up Kiriko ult, right? So we can kite that, right? And again, Italy, that's why I was talking to you about. You can't just Kiriko ult in if they have movement cooldowns, and that's exactly what they did, right? They popped Kiriko ult on their when you guys were defending first, and you guys just ran away, right? A lot of people just fuck up their ults, and we've done a good job as progressing and kiting that. So again, keep up kiting ultimate, keep up recognizing when we move cooldowns, but I want us to take in account what I the 4 things I said here. And yeah, and again, this is doesn't have the right to to be complete. If you have any questions or want me to clarify something, let me know. I don't have codes, but I have notes during the map, so I kind of remember most of the team fights. If you did anything big, I probably had it written down. So we can go into a custom game and talk about it, or VOD from next map. Yeah. See you guys later. Good luck.